Hey there. So, by popular demand, I've been asked to show people how I do the Wall of Flesh run with gear that's tiered for around the level you usually fight it at. So, this world I'm currently on is on Master Mode, which pretty much means defense is even more important than on Expert Mode. And all the major bosses have increased health, damage, and AI to make the fights more difficult in general. So for this battle, the main weapons I'll be using are the Hellwing Bow, which has good it's got good AoE where these bats are quite good at dealing with the hungry that are spawned um by the wall, and because we're on master mode and I mean on expert mode as well, the hungry respawn when you kill them. So this should help us deal with them throughout most of the fight. Starts with I'll be using wooden arrows for probably about the first half of the fight, and then following it up with just arrows once the wall starts moving a bit faster and the focus becomes more so on DPS. So the other main weapons I got, this Knight's Edge obviously is my melee. I just happened to get legendary when I first built it, which is pretty good. These knees was what I was originally going to use as my main AoE for the first half of the fight, but I think the Hellwing bow's better. It's just got I mean it's got same damage, but I think the bats are just going to be a bit more useful, and I did get a pretty much the best modifier I could have on it when I fished it up. So it's the one I'll be using. Magic weapons, Demon Scythe's probably my go-to for magic damage at the moment. At least the Diamond Staff is also pretty good for damage throughout the entire pre-hard mode area. Obviously you can make it pretty early on with just diamonds and with platinum bars. So that'll be my go-to if I somehow run out of arrows or like my armor. I usually go with molten. I value defense pretty highly, especially on master mode where anything that hits you is going to hit you pretty hard. I know Necro is better for ranged itself, but damage is what I'm going for at the moment. In terms of accessories, I got the Terra Spark boots, and these are kind of my main, the pivotal part of my, I guess you could say build here. I've elected not to make a long platform across the underworld here, and I've instead just carved out areas where there were houses that extended up in the main way, just because with the lasers that are fired by the Wall of Flesh, I find it more useful to have alternative terrain that can help just naturally block them for me as I make my way across. And with the lava waders that go into these boots, I don't need to worry about the lava or anything like that. I mean, obviously, I got these by fishing. You can get them out of obsidian crates, which you can farm down here. But if you don't have them, water walking boots and obsidian potions should pretty much have the same effect if you can spare those. All of my accessories are pretty much reforged for warding, so I've got warding on the obsidian shield for obviously anti-knockback. Worm Scarf is just good in general for that damage. I've got a double or a triple jump here, I guess you could say. I just find the movement you can get out of the dash and then the triple jump and then the boots is super useful, especially in this fight with the lasers. The main trouble you'll be having. I've also got the Hive Pack if I'm going to be using the bow, which I probably won't be anymore, but everything's reforged to warding pretty much. Medicine is also pretty good, obviously, for DPS, but the boots reforge at like 30 gold, and that's a bit rich for my blood, so I've elected to go for menacing, which I got quicker, and I'm happy with that. The other main benefit of the not having a straight elevator here is on expert and then on master mode as well, is these lava slimes, as you just saw. When they're killed, they drop lava. So having a straight long flat platform obviously brings the risk of, especially if it's out of wooden platforms, you know, they're just gonna, lava's gonna break straight through them. And even if you make it out of stone or anything like that, you have to put like drain holes throughout to keep that from being a problem. I find that it's easier for me at least to have the boots and the maneuverability. It's granted by the other accessories. Now the main thing I've done in preparation is I've got a bunch of potions. Most of these I've got through either fishing or occasionally smashing pots down here. The main ones of importance for pretty much any expert mode or master mode fight are swiftness, regen, and iron skin. You can make them super easily just with a basic herb farm. Archery, because I am mainly going to be using my bow, most likely. Thorns is just nice to have. I just had that laying around, so I figured I may as well use it. Inferno will be good. I'm not sure if the bats actually, I don't think they ignite things on fire, because I don't have the molten quiver. But that should be useful, especially if I end up using my Sortador, which I sometimes do. Hunter Potion I just like. I'm not blind or anything, but it's useful knowing when there's enemies other than the wall on screen. I find it especially useful fighting the Eater of Worlds or bosses at nighttime, because it just shows them up in such a bright color. Endurance Potion is just, again, universally good, especially in Master and Expert mode, just because that extra health, or extra, I guess this extra health, but you take less damage, which again compounds with the Scarf, and I find super useful. Bit of a pain to make, but that's not too much of a problem for me, because I can get Elmwood Cavefish pretty easily. Carving Potion, which I should have brought more so I could use some here, but that's just, all these enemies down here are pretty annoying. As you can see, I got pretty low there for a second because I wasn't paying attention, but that's just useful for fighting or keeping away all of the other mobs that can spawn down here around this time. I know they're not super hard to deal with, and they can provide extra hearts, but I cannot be bothered with them. Heart Reach Potions are good for if you happen to kill a hungry or a you know, like a hellbat or something like that. You can just grab the heart, because you're going to be moving pretty fast along this section, so that just allows you to grab those hearts even though you're not going to be able to get right on top of them to pick them up. And then I've got the burger here. It's food in general is pretty useful to have. It's not hard to get. I mean, burgers drop from Eater of Souls in the Corruption, and you can get different kinds of food from all most enemies in Master Mode, or at least in 1.4. Arrows, obviously I've got just arrows for the second half of the fight when I'm just trying to get through those hungry to the eye of the Wall of Flesh, and then I've got the wooden arrows, which again provide that benefit when using the Hellwing Bow. So the main thing I'm going to just doing here is waiting to heal up, and then we'll crack on with it. So I'm pretty much good to go here. As you can see, I just had to quickly hop back and get some actual voodoo dolls to spawn the thing, because I neglected to bring them on my first trip out here. So I'll crack on with it, and you should see how well we perform. So the main strategy is just staying nice and far and back and dodging vertically as much as possible, just to avoid those lasers. Obviously, as the fight goes on, they're going to get much more frequent, and this high level of mobility, thanks to the boots and both of my balloons, is pretty useful for that. As you can see, that the lasers don't do loads of damage at the moment. 8 damage, and that's mainly because I've got a pretty high defense at the moment, thanks to both my armor and my my accessories are a pretty big help towards that, reducing outright the damage by 100% because we're on master mode. So as you can see, they're getting a fair bit faster now. And damage is increasing. So what I'm going to do, because we've got quite a bit of room, is just switch over to Jester arrows, and these aren't super hard to make because it's simply fallen stars along with the wooden arrows, and they make them pretty efficiently. So I've got a couple hundred stars just from playing pretty hard mode here, and definitely makes it easier for using bows in a lot of these fights. With the Dalius, before you get holy arrows, it's still very good as well. I found it worked pretty well with the rainbow, the new one dropped by the Blood Moon Fishing. It's like a baby Dalius. It's pretty useful. So obviously this isn't super hard. I'm aiming for the eyes because they have less defense than the mouth. As you can see, we've just passed the middle point of my world where I cleared out to. And obviously the wall's getting quite a bit faster, but I've made my defense pretty high just to mitigate any damage I actually take, but we're not getting hit too much as long as we keep going up and down to avoid these lasers. Yeah, as you can see, just mobility is so important in this fight because it allows you just not to get hit as the speed increases, and there you go. So we've dealt with it there. Got loads of time left on my buffs, and we've hit hardwood now. So this is the new drop because we're in a master mode world. It's just as like further proof. Those are pretty cool. As like a little trophy because the mobs don't drop super often. So we got decent gear here. I'm not really doing a ranged build. I am doing a ranged build, so that emblem's great. But the laser rifle isn't really useful to us at all. So I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously the Demon Heart is great just for that extra accessory slot on Master Hero. We get up to 7, which is crazy. So while I got all my buffs still up, you can see I took probably more damage from that demon there than I did in most of that last fight. We'll just fight it again going the other way because our guard moves straight back in. We'll just swap the arrows back over. And yeah, clearly see the buildings there are blocking that. That's where I built to, so we actually got relatively close. I didn't over-prepare, which is helpful. Sorry, I clicked out there. That was my Inferno Potion wearing off, but yeah, it doesn't appear to make a massive difference just as I'm chipping away at it here. And I didn't end up using my magic gear at all because I like range. It's just cooler in my opinion. I've done mage runs before, and I got a bit worn out by them. But definitely range I think is a lot easier than melee in most of these boss fights, especially on the harder difficulties. It's just the need to get close just makes the damage of most of the bosses so much harder, especially with like Skeletron and like Golem. Even this guy's definitely. I'm avoiding most of his damage here just by being able to stay at distance. I'm not affected by the damage of the actual mouth or the eyes or being like stuck behind it at all. See, we almost used up our mobility there, but I've also got the P on just to really solidify things. I mean, this fight's obviously pretty locked down. We've got loads of room left on our elevator. Well, no, not our elevator, but our path we've carved out. I'll use the Jester arrows anyway, just to show you how effective they are in cutting away at the actual hungry as they're flowing out from the fight and respawning. I'm trying to keep it on screen a little bit more just so you can see my mouse movements in aiming for the eyes rather than for the mouth, because the again the eyes have a lower defense, so it's easier to go for them. So this boss, like you can see here, When it gets to that point, you have to defeat it pretty quickly, which is why it's important to keep consistent DPS up. Or when it gets to that speed, you're probably in a lot of trouble, especially if you don't have it. I mean, at least Frostbark boots. So, there we go. Got a second bag, which Summoner Emblem. I was hoping for the Clockwork Assault Rifle, but we didn't get it. We got the Blade instead. So, pretty much everything but the ranged weapon. Summoner Emblem's nice. As you can see in that fight, I used the little fishmen, it's vampire frogs apparently, but they're probably not as strong as the imps you can get from the imp staff, but I just find them hilarious. Like how high they can jump is truly insane. They've been great when I'm doing Blood Moon fishing or fishing down in the underworld here for the lava charm. They've made my life a lot easier in that regard. So there we go. That's the extra slot we get. I don't know why it spawns in one below we want there, but we can now extra extra slot, which is massive throughout all of the game. That'll be massively useful throughout here. If you didn't know, Demon Conch is a pretty super useful item, especially if you're getting down to the underworld. So I did make a Elevator just from my underground base all the way down, but once I got down here for the first time, I haven't really had to use it since then, just because this teleports you to the world spawn down in the underworld, which means obviously I don't have to worry about falling the whole way down the elevator, which is usually a pain, and I'd have to bring the slime mount just to speed it up a little bit. But that's super convenient, and you get that straight by fishing out of underworld crates down here. Similarly, you can get a magic conch from, I believe it's just from fishing in the ocean, as well as desert crates in the underground desert. They both drop that, which similarly lets you just teleport to the ocean furthest away from where you're standing. So this is a medium world, but if I'd known about those, I probably could have managed with large, just as I was worried about it taking too long with traversing the biomes. But knowing that in between the pillars, which, yeah, pretty much let me navigate the entire world without much difficulty at all. That's it's a big boon. There we go. We got a hot dog there, which is, that's a long duration for the food actually. So that all just drops from different mobs down here. Most categories of mobs have different food they drop. Like you can get a carton of milk, I think, from all the different skeletons and stuff. But that's gonna do it about now for you. As you can see, we've made a fair bit of money there. I'm not in need of money desperately, just because again I got the yeah, we just hit 13 platinum just from all the underworld fishing that I did just in here. It did take me about 50 to 60 underworld crates to get the lava charm, because its drop rate is only about 2.5%. But that's the same as it is in golden chests in the underworld, and I failed to find it during my exploring down here. So that's gonna wrap it up for this video, I think. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and let me know what you want to see next. So just a little closing comment. As you can see, there's this quite nice background effect that's playing now that I've come back to my little base here. And this spawns sometimes randomly, but also after you've defeated the one of the major bosses. I'm not sure if it's a one-time thing, or you can defeat bosses again and it'll automatically happen again. But the benefit it gives you is just a bonus to luck, which is like a hidden stat that allows you to have increased chances of getting good drops or items and such from pretty much any enemy or similar like drop rate based thing you'll find. Aside from that, here is the trophy looking fine next to all of its brethren, and just once again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.